Hello, everyone. Allow me to begin by stating that research is an indispensable and important component of the fourfold functions of higher education institutions, along with instruction, extension, and production. This is applicable not only for the first world highly industrialized and urbanized countries, but also for the Philippines. Research productivity in universities is very much encouraged primarily to elevate ranking. Imagine yourselves faced with the dilemma of not being able to produce a research output when it is a prerequisite for your professorial rank. Imagine yourselves dreaming to become a professor but is unable to present nor publish to high-impact journals. While some may be confident, others may be worried due to different factors that hinders research productivity, which may include institutional leadership and research capability training. It is on this premise that the researcher Dr. Flor Vigonte came up with this study entitled Institutional Leadership and Research Capability Training as Predictors of Faculty Research Productivity. The outcome is a structural model using path analysis to enhance current practice. Here are the statement of the problem, which will be answered in detail as we go along the results and discussion. SOP numbers 4 to 6. The theoretical framework is the leader-member exchange theory by George B. Graham and Mary Ulbien, which describes how leaders maintain their position in groups and how they develop relationships with other members that can contribute to growth or hinder development. For our conceptual framework, we have institutional leadership and research capability training as the predictor variables and research productivity as the outcome variable. Going back to the story, this study will focus specifically in Region 3. Applying quantitative research approach, descriptive correlational design, and utilizing survey questionnaire techniques through Google Forms being the new norm during the COVID-19 pandemic. Sample size is computed using G-Power. Power analysis indicated that minimum sample of 103 respondents would be required to demonstrate a multiple regression analysis with 7 predictor variables with a medium effect size of 0.15, an alpha error probability of 0.05, and a statistical power of 0.80. We now go to the findings. For the assessment of respondents on institutional leadership in relation to transformational leadership, it got an average of 3.31, with idealized attributes being the only subscale fairly often observed. Here is the detail for each subscales, comparing the two highest against the two lowest mean score. This slide tells that institutional leaders are good when specifying the importance of having a strong sense of purpose, but not in treating others as individuals rather than just as a member of a group. Good in talking enthusiastically about what needs to be accomplished, but not in going beyond self-interest for the good of the group. For the assessment of respondents on institutional leadership in relation to transactional leadership style, it got an average mean of 2.89, interpreted as fairly often observed. Only expressing satisfaction when others meet expectations is frequently, if not always, observed. Keeping track of all mistakes is sometimes observed. Since sometimes is in the middle of the 5-point Likert scale, we can never tell whether it is a positive or negative evaluation. Passive avoidant leadership shows a mean of 1.29. This means that leaders are once in a while observed exhibiting passive management by exception and laissez-faire leadership. The findings for all the three institutional leadership is supported by the rationale founded by leader-member theory, which explains how the transforming leader will shift his devotees' needs away from physiological fulfillment toward excitement for achievement and self-fulfillment. For the research capability training, it is found sufficient in technical aspects, sufficient in major aspects except for the methods, which is found to be somewhat sufficient only, sufficient also in other parts, and sufficient also in facilities and resources. This slide presents the research productivity of the local universities and colleges in Region 3 using green color palette. Army green in the graph signifies the number of completed researches. Dirty green for research presentation or dissemination. Nasty green for the publication. Pale olive green for the citation. And sea mist for the patent registration. Obviously, LUCH ranked 1. It can be inferred from the illustration that faculty in LUCs are research productive. We're done with the descriptives. Prior to applying inferential statistics, we have to test the normality of data and equality of variances to determine whether to apply parametric or non-parametric tests. From this slide, it is evident that the data does not pass the normality tests. Given a z-value of 6.99, a Shapiro-Wilk p-value of less than 0.05, histogram not a bell-shaped, and QQ plots away from each other. Thus, the non-parametric test shall be used instead. Applying Spearman's raw rank, the p-value of less than 0.05 implies that there is a significant relationship between institutional leadership and research productivity. There is also a significant relationship between research capability training and research productivity. This slide shows the partial coefficient correlation of the variables as part of the multiple linear regression with p-values less than 0.05. In relation to the types of leadership styles with research capability training given by the institution, the congruency in the path analysis of each of the components of research training capability with the types of institutional leadership can be seen. Surprisingly, the data analyzed deviate from the original conceptual framework of the study that institutional leadership and research capability training predict faculty research productivity. Instead, it proposed another framework that research capability training is mediated by the institutional leadership, and this institutional leadership is affected by how research productive faculty members are. Based on the results, it can be safely concluded that there is a significant relationship between institutional leadership and faculty research productivity. The same is true for research capability training and research productivity. Moreover, an alternative research framework is proposed. It is then recommended to empower faculty researchers, accelerate capability development, boost collaboration, push academic research, highlight accomplishments, enhance classroom research instruction, inform the stakeholders about the value of research, capacitate the academic community, notify the DOST of the findings, and report them to CHED. Lastly, equip researchers with the necessary tools to overcome barriers and continue conducting studies on faculty research productivity. To end the story, I will conclude with a quote from Aristotle which says, "The more you know, the more you realize you don't know." Thank you.